Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Ethan Stroud, and today we're going to be discussing the Orioles game that just ended about 10 to 15 minutes ago. We're right here for a post-game recap recording this episode, and the Orioles once again lose another game and another series. This was game 2 in the 3-game series versus the Twins. And we lost the first game yesterday and lost the game again today. So we've officially lost another series and another game. And, I mean, it's nothing new for the Orioles. They fall 9 games below 500. And, yeah, we lost 5-2. And, not much was really going on. Charlie Morton got the start again today because we had to call him up from being in the bullpen back to being a starter because we just didn't have enough pitchers available. As I said in yesterday's episode, the 2 starting pitchers that we could have called up, either Chase McDermott or Brandon Young in AAA, they're also both hurt. So we don't have enough starting pitchers on the roster after we moved Charlie Morton down, so we kind of had to move him back up to being a starter. He was a starter today. He had his best outing of the year, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. He gets credited with the loss once again. He's 0-7 on the year. Cedric, just not a great day. Ramon Laureano got a home run, which was one of the 2 runs that we scored, and then Heston Kjerstad also brought in a run through a single. So, just again, not a great game. The pitching didn't show up again today. The batting, wasn't great. We were getting guys on base. We just couldn't really produce runs like, I would have liked. And then also the pitching obviously wasn't great again today. Even though Charlie Morton had his best outing of the year, it still wasn't a good outing, but it was his best outing. Obviously the bar is set really low with Charlie Morton. So, yeah, let's just go over this game real quick. And going over the game, as I said earlier, the Orioles lose 5-2 to the Twins. And, we're 13-22 on the season. We're 9 games below 500. We're 5-13 on the road. And I mean, once again, it's just kind of a disaster of a game. Danny Coulombe ends up getting the win for the Twins, who Danny Coulombe was a longtime Oriole for the past I think 4 to 5 years. He was an Oriole, and he was great. He was amazing. He got surgery last year, but he ended up coming back and doing his thing. But Danny Coulombe's always been a very reliable guy out of the bullpen, and he has been killing it so far with Minnesota. He's been one of the best relievers in baseball in Minnesota this season. But Charlie Morton gets the loss once again. He's 0-7 on the year in his 7 starts that he's had. Obviously, he's had 2 other appearances that were bullpen appearances that he didn't do good in those either. But, Charlie Morton, once again, not a good outing from him. His ERA is not really moving, though, because, it's already so high. But going over this Orioles offense, they put up 10 total hits on the day, only scored 2 runs. They were 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. They were getting guys on base. They got walked 1 time, got 10 base hits, struck out 7 times. So the offense was getting on base, double-digit hits. They just couldn't produce runs. They just couldn't bring guys home. Lots of singles in this game. Cedric Mullins was at leadoff. He goes 0 for 4, and Cedric Mullins is on a pretty big cold streak recently. Obviously, Cedric Mullins, about like a week and a half ago, maybe even almost 2 weeks ago now, he was batting, like 310 to like 290. Like he was in that like very high 200s and low 300s range, and he was doing great as a leadoff hitter, and he was doing his thing, and he started off the year so well in the first pretty much in the first 3 to 4 weeks of the year. But recently Cedric Mullins has been on a pretty big decline, and his average has dropped down to a 237, which is not obviously good. It's dropped below 250, which you don't really like to see, especially out of a guy who's your leadoff hitter. I do think that we're going to have to change this up eventually. I think Cedric, he had the hot hand to start the year. Brandon Hyde rolled him out there at leadoff. He was doing his thing. And then recently he has just been on an extreme cold streak. So I think eventually we're going to move him back down. And we're going to move Gunnar Henderson back up to leadoff. And speaking of Gunnar, he does get a hit today. He goes 1 for 4. Nothing else really happened today. His average is at a 252. So Gunnar, obviously he started off the year really slow, but he's starting to do his thing. The home run numbers really aren't there. The slug numbers really aren't there, but he's starting to find his way. He's starting to do his thing. Adley Rutschman goes 1 for 4. Ryan O'Hearn continues to be the best hitter for the Orioles at this point of the year, May 7th, 2025. Ryan O'Hearn is the best overall hitter on this Orioles team right now, which is kind of crazy to say when you have guys like Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman and Cedric Mullins on your team. But Ryan O'Hearn's still an amazing player, still does his thing. He gets a multi-hit day. He goes 2 for 4. There's 3 Orioles today that actually had multi-hit days. And Ryan Mountcastle goes 1 for 4. Jackson Holliday goes hitless. Ramon Laureano goes 2 for 4. And he also hits a solo home run in the 3rd inning that actually got the Orioles on the board. And the Orioles were initially up 1-0 in the 3rd, and then Charlie Morton gave up a 3-run home run to Brian Buxton, and we were down 3-1, and then from there was just no looking back because the offense couldn't really do anything. Heston Kjerstad also had a multi-hit day, and then Emmanuel Rivera went 1 for 3. So, some guys went hitless on this team. Jackson Holliday and Cedric were the only guys that actually went hitless today. But again, the offense just couldn't go out there and produce runs. It's really hard to win a game when you only score 2 total runs in the entire game. It's pretty hard to win a game when you're only scoring 2 total runs. That means you would have to hold the other team to 1 run or below or 0 or shut them out. But the offense, if you look at these averages, at this point in the year, it's kind of disgusting. And this lineup that we have, like the lineup that we ran out there today, this is probably the best lineup that we could be running right now, based on all the injuries to Colton Cowser, Tyler O'Neill, Jordan Westberg, and Ramon Urias. This is the best lineup that we could probably throw out there right now. And if you look at these averages over a month into the year now, or a month into the season, over a month, Cedric Mullins 237, Gunnar Henderson 252, Adley Rutschman 212, Ryan O'Hearn 304, which is nice to see, but Ryan Mountcastle 205, Jackson Holliday at a 263. He has been on a hot streak recently as well. He did go hitless today, but he still is one of the highest averages on the team. Ramon Laureano 207, Heston Kjerstad 222, Emmanuel Rivera 273. So when you look at these averages, obviously only one guy is above a 300 average, and that was Ryan O'Hearn. But there's a lot of guys in the low 200s. But even with these injuries, this is probably the best lineup talent-wise that we could throw out there. Obviously, Tyler O'Neill, Jordan Westberg, and Colton Cowser would obviously be every single day players, and Ramon Urias would be pretty much an everyday player, just because he's been reliable even at the end of last year and this year. But this offense just isn't really doing it. Again, I think it's arguably the most inconsistent offense in baseball. But at the same time, I don't even know if I can say that, because even when the offense has good days, they're scoring 5 to 6 runs max, which to some teams that's kind of like the average. But yeah, this Orioles offense is having a hard time, putting up runs or producing runs and stuff like that. At the same time, there's a lot of injuries as well, and at the same time, the pitching isn't good either. And speaking of the pitching, again, Charlie Morton did get the start today. The pitching overall wasn't amazing. Let up 8 total hits, 5 total runs, 2 home runs. So not amazing by the Orioles pitching, but at the same time, the pitching definitely doesn't get all the blame. We let up 5 runs, but we only scored 2. So you wish the offense could maybe put up some more runs, but at the same time, maybe you wish that the pitching could have done a little better. But overall, I think I put this game more on the offense, because the game was within reach the entire time. We just couldn't really get over the hump and have that big inning. But Charlie Morton has his best outing of the year. 4 innings, 4 hits, and 3 runs and a home run. Saying that that's your best outing of the year is a problem. This was his best outing of the year. His ERA is at a 9.38. Again, he goes through 4 innings, gives up 4 hits and 3 runs. The 3 runs that he gave up was to a Brian Buxton 3-run home run. And yeah, he gets credited the loss obviously because he let up 3 runs, but this was his best outing. He looked a little bit better. He still kind of, looks like trash, obviously, but, at the end of the day, Charlie Morton's pitching, good things aren't going to happen, whether that's the offense or the pitching. Just good things aren't going to happen. Brian Baker comes into the game, 1 inning, 0 runs. Sir Anthony Dominguez comes into the game. He gives up a run. Keegan Aiken gives up a run, and then Matt Bowman doesn't give up a run. So, again, the Orioles pitching, I guess its thing, but, the offense just couldn't really do its thing either. And since we did lose today, we have officially lost another series, as I said earlier. We lost yesterday 9-1. We lose today 5-2. And then tomorrow is Game 3. It's not a rubber match. The series is already over. At least we can try and avoid getting swept tomorrow. But once again, the Twins do have the pitching advantage. We have Dean Kramer on the mound, who, as we know, he's had like 2 really good outings, and then the rest of them have been pretty garbage. But Dean Kramer's on the mound. Obviously, he's 3-4, 5.73 ERA, 1.38 WHIP, and Joe Ryan for the Twins. He's been one of the better pitchers in baseball recently. He's 2-2 on the year, a 2.93 ERA and a .90 WHIP. So, and 47 strikeouts as well. So Joe Ryan. Obviously, the Twins have the pitching advantage tomorrow, and obviously they are favorited as well. But the Orioles tomorrow trying to avoid getting swept. Obviously, I'll have another episode up tomorrow night talking about that, talking about this, talking about the game, talking about if the Orioles can just try and pull out a win. Because if they do lose tomorrow, and I'll say tomorrow is a pretty important game. All these games for the Orioles right now are important because they really are in no position to be just losing games like they are. We've now dropped 9 games below 500, and if we lose tomorrow, we'll be 10 games below 500, and it'll be May 8th. So we're already in a very big hole to start the year, and I just don't really know if we're going to be able to dig ourselves out of it. Then we have to go on the road to the Angels, and I just don't really know if I have any confidence in who we're playing. I don't even know if I can sit here and say, oh, that's an easy matchup, because at this point we are an easy matchup. I think teams would love to play the Orioles and would love to play our pitching just because of how garbage it is. Again, the Orioles still, we're a month and 10 days into the season, and we have 2 series wins, and both series wins were 2-1 series wins, and neither of them were sweeps. But yeah, the Orioles are trying to avoid getting swept tomorrow, trying to at least put 1 game on the board, even though the series is already over. And then this weekend we have a series against the Angels on the road. So, just not a lot of good things going on with the Orioles. And at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if a change is made here soon. I don't really know how much longer it's going to take. I don't know how many more games below 500 we have to keep stacking up and keep going down. But, eventually a change is going to have to be made, and I don't know if it's going to... I would expect it to be Brandon Hyde first, but Mike Elias and Brandon Hyde both deserve a lot of blame. They kind of took a team that was... the Orioles arguably had the brightest future in the entire MLB. When you look at guys like Samuel Basallo, Kobe Mayo, obviously calling up Jackson Holliday, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Jordan Westberg, all these young studs and extremely good young talented players. And over time, just the development system was going to keep getting them better and better and better. And eventually we were going to be a team that could become a dynasty. A lot of people compared us to what the Astros did around 2015, 2016, where they were bad for so many years. They finally got their core players, and they ended up winning a World Series because they surrounded those players with good pitching. And it's kind of the same thing with this offense. Even though the offense doesn't really look like they're talented, I know that these guys are talented. I know that guys like Gunnar and Adley and Jackson and Cedric and Jordan, I know these guys are talented. Everyone is just in a slump, the team in general, pitching, offense, whatever. And a lot of people are to blame, but it just kind of feels like this could go down possibly just this entire team situation. When you even go back and look at the Trevor Rogers trade, who's someone that I don't even really talk about on this show because, and if you don't know, Trevor Rogers is a pitcher for the Orioles. We traded for him at the trade deadline last season, and he was a pitcher who played for the Marlins, and he was a guy who I think in 2021 had an excellent season for the Marlins, but he gets riddled with injuries so much, and his body just keeps declining. He's pretty young. I think he's still in his late 20s, but he's just a guy who's been injured so much, and he's been kind of garbage over the past couple years in the MLB, but the Orioles traded for him and banked on his upside and his talent. And he got hurt again over spring training. He is currently in AAA right now, and he's doing horrible in AAA as well. So, when you're doing bad in AAA, I don't even know what you're going to be doing when you're up in the majors. So, he's another guy who the Orioles expected to be a part of this rotation in terms of if everyone was healthy. But Trevor Rogers, to be honest, I don't even think makes the rotation, and we pretty much just gave away Kyle Stowers and Connor Norby, who were two of the top prospects in baseball. The Orioles had guys like Connor Norby and Heston Kjerstad and Kobe Mayo, Jackson Holliday, Samo Basseo. Obviously, Samo Basseo is an incredible player who's still in AAA, and a player that, him and Kobe Mayo especially were two guys that were being shopped around a lot in potential trades for an ace this past offseason, or just trades for anybody. I don't really know what the Orioles are going to do with the trade deadline. I don't know if we're going to be sellers. I don't know if we're going to try and be buyers and try and make a run to try and make the playoffs at this point, because this season is just so weird, and this team is in such a weird situation because this team really got out of the rebuild 2 seasons ago. In 2023, this team had 101 wins, and they were atop of the AL. If you look at 2023 and 2024 and you combine those seasons, the Orioles have the most wins of any team in the American League, and it just feels like extremely poor management and poor front office management and poor management of the team is kind of just killing this team. There's a lot of MLB franchises that I think would love to be, at least going into the season, love to be in the position that we were in terms of all the young talent that we have, and just us not being aggressive in free agency, and us just not developing these guys like they should be, and just making bad decisions in general. It's kind of just all coming together and making this big snowball effect, and this team is just not... I don't want to sit here and say that they're not in a good spot, because they still have all these guys, but at the same time, you're going to have to pay these guys eventually. You're going to have to pay Gunnar and Adley eventually. There's decisions on that. And it's just... This team should be in such a better spot than what they are right now. This team should be one of the best teams in the American League, but this development is just not developing right. Everybody just seems to be in a slump. I don't know if it's the hitting coach. I don't know if it's Brandon Hyde. And then also on Mike Elias' side, he's not going out and being aggressive and getting pitchers to surround this team. And he settles for guys like Charlie Morton and bringing back Kyle Gibson. Obviously, I'm not going to say Tomoyuki Sugano because he's been great for us this year, and I'm happy that we have him. But them not going out and being aggressive to go get a pitcher and letting Corbin walk, first of all. Letting Corbin walk and then not replacing him with a true ace like a Garrett Crochet or Dylan Cease, which we were, rumored to go get. And also with the whole rumor thing, the Orioles have been rumored to go get good pitching, and every single pitcher. Oh my God, the Orioles are rumored to maybe be trying to get Max Fried or Dylan Cease or Garrett Crochet, and they don't end up getting anybody. And they actually sign Charlie Morton and bring back Kyle Gibson for some odd reason. And it's just the position that we're in right now. You have a general manager who isn't being aggressive and doesn't really feel like he cares about the success of the team. And he's banking on the developmental system, but the coaches and the managers that are surrounding these guys are not developing them right. And we're also riddled with injuries, riddled with a bunch of injuries going on. I don't know if it has something to do with the medical staff or what it is. It just feels like a big, complete disaster. And this team under no circumstances should be 9 games below 500. This is a little ridiculous. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous seeing what they're doing. It's kind of comical as well, just to see that this team got out of the rebuild 2 years ago and they were ready to like go on a 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 year long run as one of the top teams in the American League, and then after 2 seasons, really a season and a half, because this whole slump of everything, when it comes to the offense at least, this really started in this like start of the second half of last season. If you go back and look at the start of the second half of last season, the entire post All-Star break last year, this offense has struggled a bunch. The pitching in the second half of last year wasn't necessarily the problem, but this season the offense kind of carried over that same momentum from last year, and the pitching is just trash. So again, this team should be in a lot better position, but they're just not, because they're being managed by somebody who just doesn't really feel like, I just feel like he doesn't really care. And depending on what happens with this team, hopefully not, but I mean, this team might be headed back into a rebuild when they were looking like the brightest, like the most bright future team in the entire league, and they might be headed right toward another rebuild, which doesn't really make any sense. And and to be honest with you, it feels like this entire Orioles team and the way and the direction that we were headed in, it feels like it was so hard for somebody to mess it up, because there were so many good pieces in AAA and so many good pieces just on the team in general that it just felt like there's no way that you can even mess this up. But Mike Elias has found a way to mess it up. David Rubenstein, I feel like isn't really pushing anybody to go get anyone, and then Brandon Hyde just stands there and looks like he has no idea what he's doing. So changes need to be made. I think Brandon Hyde needs to get fired sooner rather than later. I mean, if we go 10 games below 500, I mean, you have to start thinking about firing Brandon Hyde. To be honest with you, I'm surprised we didn't fire him at the end of last season after what happened in the entire second half of last year. So yeah, sorry for the little rant for the past like 5-6 minutes over the Orioles, but it is really disappointing seeing the direction that they're going in right now, because I know that this team like has the talent, but it's just not being found. Like, I just don't really know what it is, but we're just not reaching down, and like this team isn't able to like get to its talent, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, this entire team is in a slump, and I feel like not change of scenery, but like a change of a manager and a reset or something, or something's got to happen to change up the team and unlock the talent in this offense especially. And they also need to get guys back from injury as well. I'm not sitting here saying that injuries have nothing to do with it, because I know for a fact that injuries have something to do with it. I know that injuries do play a role, and I know that injuries are playing a role in this entire situation. And I know that, if we get guys, if Colton and Jordan Westberg and Tyler O'Neill and Ramon Urias, I know if they were all healthy that things would probably look a lot different. But just something's got to change, to be honest. And I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Hyde gets fired within the next week, to be honest. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. I appreciate you guys so much for all the support. I know it's been, some pretty depressing episodes here recently in the past couple of weeks, or pretty much this entire year for the Orioles. But, I mean, this Orioles season has just been very all over the place and very down, and not a lot of positives been going on. But obviously, that's not going to stop me from making daily episodes on these guys. I'm obviously still going to be discussing them all year long, daily episodes again. Obviously, any Ravens news that happens as well we'll go over. But again, it is kind of a dry period in the NFL because there's no, the draft just passed and we're kind of waiting for training camp to start. But again, thank you guys so much for listening to this. Again, if you're on Spotify, make sure to follow up. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all have a great y'all's day. I'll see y'all tomorrow for the post game of Orioles Twins Game 3. And I'll see y'all later. Peace out.